JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Monday, November 3rd, 9/20, first trading day of November. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Talk really quick about marks. Some names I'm looking at going from there. S&P futures up over 0.4% on the heels of a historically strong sell in May and go away time frame. This came from Isabel. I forget the handle on FinTwit. You can see it here. But you always had the mantra, right? Sell in May and go away, and that was the time frame where if you sold in May and came back in October, you'd miss weakness in the market, and definitely not the case this time frame. Strongest sell in May and go away time frame since record 1950. So impressive stuff. We'll see. I mean, if you look at the historicals, probability of a strong November to April is pretty pretty compelling there. So we'll see how things play out here over the weekend. Same chatter that we've been having since the summer, right? We're in a bubble, or at least that's what some people trying to craft it out to be. I'm not going to sit here and dismiss the fact that maybe there might be some pockets of overvaluation, right? I mean, but that's always been the case, right? There's always, and especially the flags, the red flags that get waved as market goes up. Typically, there's more of them waves flagging when we're at all-time highs. So we'll see how this all plays out. Tough, if you sit there and try and time it or fight it, it's been a fruitful or painful lesson, and maybe that continues. For me, I continue to be, cautiously optimistic, but same token, open to playing some hedges and being aware of the possibility at some point we have some pull, right? So that's kind of the overall market. The SPY talked about some areas. Take a look at the upper Bollinger Band, 689.76. That's a spot I probably watch if we get a rally here today and tomorrow. And then 685 and 678 on the way down. Outside of that, we don't have much in the way of data. We have manufacturing PMI. I think that's at 10 a.m. Wednesday. We have the services PMI. Those are pretty much like the surveys. And we have earnings, right? And the big earnings, obviously, the AMD is going to be the big one. So I don't know how much that moves mark tomorrow. I think it's Uber and Shopify in the morning. Yeah, so it should be a fun week. Also, it's the start of Obesity Week, November 4th through November 7th. I'll talk about that in a second. Don't have much time here because the market's going to open in 7 minutes. So just things I'm watching, obviously the 10-year, right? So I want to see that get back under the 4% threshold. I had the Fed meeting last week. So last time we started the rate cut cycle last September, we saw rates go up. It was the bottom, and then the rate cut marked the bottom of yields. Don't want to see that set up again. It's funny, as yields have come down, you don't hear that chatter around the great, beautiful tax bill, the runaway and the deficit, unsustainable. That's still there, right? It's just it only gets talked about it when it matters. Let me move on to the next topic. Hopefully the government shutdown gets resolved this week. But to me, that's the important thing. And then funny thing is, no, right? Markets were selling off on Thursday. The VIX was kind of flat. Markets rallied on Friday and the VIX was up. So rhythmly that. That's that. All right, just quick on individual names. First, ROKU monster move Friday morning, right? Sitting there at $85 in the after hour session on Thursday, was in the low 90s on Friday morning. I put on a watch list. If it goes red to green, I'm going to get some calls. It opens at 96, and sure enough, off to the races. I tried to get some of the November 14 110s. It was moving so quick, I couldn't get a fill. Went up to the 15s. I got them at 63 cents. At the time, I think the stock was like 102. And boom, within a half hours at 116, those calls were up nearly 1,000%. Locked some of those in, locked some more in on the way down, and then closed at 106. It was still up 6% on the day, but not at its high. So to me, it's a victory. This morning, you have Piper Sandler upgrading the stock to outperform or buy from neutral, raise their price target from 88 to I think 135. To me, maybe that's finally one of those analyst upgrades that'll be the kick in the back. And then to me, as much as I would like to add some more strikes, I'll just continue to hold what I have. Maybe some churn here today and tomorrow. I'll look for more strikes. One of these quarters, I put it after the earnings Thursday afternoon. I'm like, one of these, the earnings finally matter. So we'll see if this is it. So that's ROKU. And then on to PayPal, right? Been waiting all last week after its earnings and an announcement of the deal with the OpenAI that this would be the turning point for PayPal. Because it's like one of these quarters from the last couple of years, similar to Roku, is going to be the quarter of the turnaround. And Roku goes back from being, going back to being a growth name as opposed to being the possibility it's a value stock, right? Or value trap, which would be even worse. It was all the way down to 67 in the afternoon. Looked like it was finding a bid. Finally, I get the calls. Boom, in a matter of an hour, it's from 67 to 69. I put this on FinTwit, and of course, there's a vague generality in regards to comparisons between names. I'm not saying it's an apples to apples comparison, but if you look at the valuation of Visa and PayPal, and look at them comparison. Visa is a $650 billion company doing $40 billion in revenue. PayPal is a $65 billion company doing $32 billion in revenue. So on a revenue basis, right, 10 times revenues for Visa, well, 2 times revenues for PayPal, and then a PE ratio, right? Crazy. 13 times earnings for PayPal, 33 times earnings for Visa. Again, Visa is a totally different stratosphere in regards to its performance, its growth, its moat, its margins, all that stuff. So to sit there and make an apples to apples comparison, I'm not. To me, it just says that even if there's a glimmer of hope for PayPal, it deserves to be substantially higher valuation than it is right now. So that's got those strikes. Hopefully, I'll be able to lock some in to cover costs on the way up. 71.29 is 200-day moving average. Watching that today. Why can't I get my charts going? Sorry, just running out of time. VKTX, I think it's a 9% implied move on the options just on the weekly, still to November 21st. They're still in the green. 25, I think, is a gap fill from its data back in August. So if it gets over that, I think there'll be some FOMO. And the space is heating up, right? You have the M&A, and I think that just continues to go into the end of the year. So I like that one. I'll look to lock some of my calls on the way up. Reddit, looked like it was going to break. Got the spec calls for a move over 230. Sure enough, sells off into the afternoon. Still like this one for upside. 50 days, 223. Maybe waiting on that. This week, SanDisk reports earnings. I was looking premium, same with Duolingo. Insane to try and play on a risk reward basis. Of course, SanDisk hit 214 here in the pre-market. Maybe I'll visit it before the close for some premium build into earnings. MDB, right? I was talking about playing the cloud name on Amazon Web Service, monster beat. So MDB flooded around in the morning. It was like 352 all morning. So I'm like, I passed on it. And then sure enough, in the afternoon, from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it rallies $10. Like someone just hit a button. And then sure enough, this morning, you have the CEO news, and then they announced the prelim numbers. Stock is skyrocketing. Actually, it's only up $27 now. It was up nearly $50 earlier. So gonna take the premiums out of the calls. I probably won't play that one this week, or at least into maybe midweek. But it's been a good. I keep saying it was Good Friday option lotto trade, and sure enough, it plays out. Other names this morning: Dell all the way up to 170 in the pre-market on that server news. Microsoft what was it? I forget what name of that company. All right, that's that. Still up Serve Robotics here. I don't know why I don't have the chart holding an uptrend finally. 1375 big spot. And that's it. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.